Yes, I can.
Okay, so I think we start with the GSOC update. So, Osama, if you have something.
Yes, I have. Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Can you enable share screening, or should I?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I can talk without share screen. I have been working on integration of Tecton chains to ensure to secure our supply chain security by signing our artifacts, the pipeline runs, and task runs. So for task runs, it's already released by the official Tecton chains. The pipeline run have a recent pull request that got merged into the main branch of Tecton chains, but it's yet not got released. So we tested it with the source code, okay, and I built the chains directory, or the chains binaries, to ensure that pipeline runs by Jenkins X are getting signed, uh, and all of them worked completely without installing any other tool like Kibern or something. The only tool that we used was Cosine to generate the keys required for signatures. So we are now trying to install a Helm chart by ChainGuard, which will possibly to create the signature itself using X509,
Okay.
and that's it. So we are now trying to integrate it with X 3 versions to be installed to our end users, and the pipeline runs will be signed once the Tecton Helm chart for chains gets upgraded from ChainGuard. So that's it for now.
Okay. So, if you can still see my screen, this is the pull request that Osama was talking about. So, normally, chains will only sign the task runs because it's a controller that is running in your like Kubernetes cluster, and uh, it keeps on looking at any newly created like task run. What this PR does is it adds support for signing like pipeline runs. So this helps us because we have a build controller that looks at pipeline runs. It doesn't look at like task runs. So once a pipeline run is signed, we can just have the build controller copy over the signed things into the pipeline, like activities, and then in the UI we can show that okay, this uh, Jenkins X pipeline has been signed. But yes, that's just the gist of it. I think Rajat is not here unless he joined now. No, I don't see him. Okay, so I guess he will give an update next week. Well, not next week, next to next week or next meeting. But we have, so I just opened a pull request to add the JX UI in the version stream. So we will start some tests with it um, internally, and then see how it works, and then anyone else can actually use it. We will write a blog post on how to switch from the old UI to the new UI. It should be a drop-in, like replacement. You don't have to change a lot of things. Actually, you should not be changing a lot of things internally. So we will see how that goes. We are going to, as I said, we will run it for our internal GCP cluster and see what happens. Just going to make a note. So that is all from GSOC update. So LTS versioning, I will bring it up. And I added a few things like last time. Initially, I was thinking to have 3 versions that we maintain. I think that's just too much work for us, and kind of does not make a lot of sense for a project of our size. So maybe we just go with one supported version. So Andy, did you get some time to look at it?
I got some time, not as much as I would have liked. I just got back off vacation like last night. But while I was away, I did do some thinking around what goes into the release, the versioning, and the version stream. And I think there's kind of 3 main categories. There's the Jenkins X toolset, the binaries, the versions of those. Then there's the external tools, which I think you've listed in there, some of them like Cert Manager and so on. And then there's the pipelines. So the pipeline versions, the Jenkins X binary tools versions, and then the external tools versions. And I guess the 4th one, which I don't tend to focus on very much because we're not using that part of Jenkins X, but that's the build side, so the Terraform and so on. And I'm wondering whether having all of those in the same version stream is making it more or less complicated. I don't have an answer, but this was my thinking around it.
Yes, a lot. Yeah, like there are a lot of things in the version stream, and we don't actually track the version of the plugins in the version stream. We track that in the JX repo in the plugins file. So that leads to a bit of complications when we want to have a LTS branching model. But the thing that I was thinking is, if we can answer this question properly, I think we have at least a candidate. So say we have a LTS version 1.x or something, and we find out that there is a bug in JX pipeline. And the thing is, we are making changes to the trunk branch, right? So we are making changes to master or main. And there may be, so between JX pipeline version X and JX pipeline version Y, there may be 100 other changes that might happen to the version stream. So how do we ensure that we only take that JX pipeline change and put it in the LTS? So that was the question that I was trying to answer in this document. I don't think I have a great answer for it yet, because of the way because of the way the release cycle was built from the beginning, right? We always had this thing that you merge it into master, and then that just leads to a release. So trying to change that now while keeping everything the same, because I don't want to not have tests like the way we have it now. I think every new change that is merged into master should get tested in the version stream. That is important. But I also want to have a LTS branch where we only take changes from, so we only take the changes that we want, right? So if JX pipeline has a bug, only take the JX pipeline change. No need to take changes from JX secret or cert manager or a new version of JX, something like that. That's the part that I'm trying to understand and trying to fix here. Also, I'm sorry.
And I think that's partly where my thinking was going, is that maybe decoupling them would make that simpler. but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like what I really want to do is to get to LTS by not changing anything in the trunk. Like if somebody wants to do, if like somebody is installing things, I mean, is using the rapid channel, like which is what we have now. Just want to call it, like I was thinking to call it, like rapid release. And if they want to use it, they can. Like nothing is going to change. It will still have the guarantee that it was tested in the version stream, like it was tested as part of the version stream. But for LTS, maybe we start with some like manual test. Now that we like maybe we do some tests, and we don't just get yeah, like we control like what goes into the LTS version. And yeah, I think
Yeah. That potentially makes sense. So effectively, the LTS becomes a curated version stream.
yeah. So the thing is, wait, I don't know. I tried to put it somewhere, but it seems like maybe I did not push my changes. Great. So I was trying to see what could be the issue with. Oh, great! I did not push my change. Okay, give me 1 minute or few seconds. Okay, if I do a refresh. So we have like, so I was trying to make a point about what is the issue with the current LTS like strategy, because we could do that, right? So we already have a JX3 LTS version like repo. We just stopped making like updates to it, but then bringing back like the updates is not that hard. The problem though is there is no way to like cherry pick things. Like I can't cherry pick certain things. It will get all of the changes because it gets the PRs. Maybe I can just show it. Give me 1 minute. JX3 LTS. So it has all of these PRs. And if I go and merge it now, it's basically going to get the change here, maybe. Wait, where is getting all this change? Right, so it's going to go directly from 3.2.188 to 3.2.385. And this, although it says like Terraform version, is actually the version of the JX binary. So now the JX binary might have multiple changes. Like it may have changes to JX pipeline. It may have a change in JX secret, but all I want is just that change in JX pipeline. I don't want that change in JX secret. Like maybe it's not like required for it. It's not a feature that I want to release in this like LTS version. That can go in the next like LTS version. So this model kind of doesn't work in it. So I tried to make that point to it. So maybe when you have time, if you just go over it and maybe let me know if that actually makes sense what I wrote. But I think you and I agree on like some of these things, right? Or no?
Yeah, no, I absolutely see where you're coming from, and I did some thinking around that, and the only real thing that I could come up with was that you're right. As long as we leave those automatic PRs, whichever one we merge gets everything from everywhere else.
Right.
So I guess the only real way to do it is to, as you say, have it curated and for somebody to manually pick those versions and create a PR.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is I may just create the LTS branch in JX pipeline just for fun, just for like experimenting, and then try the entire like workflow that I have, because that will expose a lot of the, I mean, for sure there will be things that I am not like understanding, and so that will tell me about like shortcomings, and then I can again update this like document with my finding. maybe I can like add that to the Slack thread that we had around, like testing. I mean, like around the, like version stream, if that is okay.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, so I will probably pick Jake's, like pipeline, create a LTS branch. I'll just call it LTS for now because it's just for testing. We can just we can call it LTS-4.x or LTS5.x, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
The other thing that I was not sure is at this point, our JX binary is tagged as x.y.z. I have two thoughts. One is we tag the normal thing that we are doing now as x.y.z hyphen, like rapid, and we call the normal x dot like we call the normal x dot y dot z as like for like LTS, or we keep what we have now like x, so 3.5.9 that represents the current version, but 3.9.5 hyphen LTS refers to the LTS branch. I I don't know what like people think. Um, what do you think? Like anyone? So the the JX binary version. Maybe I can show.
So I think the JX binary version, as it is, works. And when we're looking at the LTS as controlled by the version stream, that becomes a separate thing, right?
Well, actually, it does not because of this. Like you see, this is where we track. So this is in JX, and this is where
Yeah.
we track the version of the different
Okay.
plugins.
Yeah.
So now 0 dot. So if I go 0.0.77 here, I say increment this and I increment this. How do I cherry pick only the change for the preview version? Like I don't want to have any other change that is happening to application version or like secret version. But say so preview version is 2.4, right? Then the next PR updates the pipeline version. Then the next PR updates the preview version. But now if I so now if I get 0.0.225, I will have the change from pipeline version as well. And that is the problem that I'm not like, that's why I was thinking to have.
Got it. Yeah, I would probably be less concerned about that in terms of treat the JX binary as it is, and basically the subsystems of it.
Okay.
We're already moving forward. If we find an issue in the pipeline plugin for JX, how often have we found that we've also introduced a backwards incompatibility somewhere else?
I don't know.
I feel like I haven't really seen that happen very much, and I think we probably could just keep moving the JX binary forward.
Okay, okay, I think like maybe I will. Yeah, that is fine. I can try that, and if we run into issues, we will see. Right. I mean, anyways, this will go through a lot of manual testing in the beginning, which we will automate like over time.
Yeah.
So maybe it will still, like catch it. And also the release notes will be kind of written maybe by hand in the beginning. The upgrade guides will also be written. The only thing is when we write so if I do upgrade for the, not an upgrade. If I release a new patch version for the version, like for like LTS, I can't just say that this version fixes just this bug. It also adds a new feature. That's all, and I think that is fine for now, right?
Yeah, and I think in terms of going back to the version stream, if you patched JX and you wanted to get that straight into the LTS version stream because it's a security issue, I think the release notes would be just upgrades JX binary to this version.
Yeah, like the thing is, we want to make it very clear why, like, like it's like the release note should be very clear why there was a new version, right? Like one of the things that Jenkins X doesn't do well compared to say Argo or Helm file even is our release notes are not that good, right? We don't know why a new version came out, and so um, right, we just want to write it properly, and so I think that's fine. I'm just like overthinking it. um, yeah, it's fine. I will keep the version, so I will so it's fine for now. There is no need to think about this versioning. I will just make a LTS branch in the JX3 hyphen like versions, and just uh, run the entire like process, and then comment in that thread for now. And I will let you know if we run into any like weird issues.
Cool.
Also, well, since we are talking about it, where is that? Here. So I was think about the release, like cadence. So I don't want to commit to like monthly. In it, well, I thought about weekly, monthly, quarterly, every 6 months, and yearly. I was thinking every 3 months would be good enough. Um, and we only support one version. So LTS is supported till a new LTS comes out. And the test that we will do, like we will do a test to like upgrade a cluster from one LTS to the other major version of the LTS. So that it's very, very clear to people that okay, you're going to go from LTS say 2.5.9 to LTS 2.6 or LTS 3, whatever. These are the steps that you need to take, and these are some of the breaking changes that we expect that you may have to do like manually. We have tried to do, maybe the JX GitOps upgrade does some of them, but just verify, and if you don't see it, just add it by hand, and then push it to to your like cluster git repo. So so what I was thinking is just every 3 months a new LTS comes, and we only support one LTS at a given point of time. So only one LTS will keep on getting new, like fixes and security, like releases, and also new, like features. So does that make sense?
Kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
But if we're saying it's every 3 months and it's going to get fixes, that implies we're actually releasing it more than every 3 months.
Yeah, so when I say like we release every 3 months, it's like this is a major LTS version. Like there can be backward incompatible, like there will be no backwards like incompatible changes in one LTS version. Like how do I put it? So if you are in LTS 2 and you go to LTS 3, there is a chance that there will be a backwards, like incompatible change. But there will be none if you go from LTS 2.x.y to LTS 2.z.w or something. That's the guarantee.
Got it. Okay, so what we won't do is we won't do any backwards incompatible changes more often than every 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And the other thing was line 55. How do we go with LTS version naming? Like, initially I thought maybe we don't do it, like Semver, we just do x.y, because it's just a bit weird to say what is exactly a minor thing and what is a patch. But then I was also thinking maybe we can do like Jenkins, and we do 3.x.y, 3.1, 3.2. So sorry, 3.1.x, 3.2.x, 3.3.x, something like that. But going from 3.1.x to 3.2.x there is no guarantee of backwards, like compatibility. But going from 3.1.0 to 3.1.1 is backwards, like compatible. Or we can do 3.1 as the main, like LTS version, and 3.2 and 3.3, and then you get a new version that is 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. So again, what do you think? Like, what do anyone think, actually? Yeah.
I quite like the sem verse. So your first number tells you whether or not you're introducing a breaking change.
Yes. Well, the thing is,
I think you can assume that if you upgrade from one LTS to the next, you will have a breaking change. I don't see the point in like do any difference there. It will be breaking change.
Yeah, like if you go if you go from say 3.1.x to 3.2.x, there will be some breaking change. Like it may not be like compatible with a version of like Kubernetes that you're running, something like that. That to me is a breaking change.
So I would.
I don't think there is a point in discussing the case of non-breaking changes from if you change from one LTS to the next. I think there will always be if we should always treat it as that. I think because the question is rather, well, have we noticed if there is one or not? But it doesn't really matter. We can basically count on that there is some breaking change.
Historically, I've not seen that with Jenkins X.
I have I certainly say I can get the breaking change anytime. So yeah, that's what I see.
Yes. I believe I saw one with 1.20 and 1.21 when we kind of made a vault upgrade. I think I made the vault upgrade that time, like the vault chart upgrade, and it stopped working with 1.20 or 1.19, and no announcements was made. And that was only for vault. That was not for like if you're using GSM or something, was completely fine. But that's still a breaking change. But I mean, we can probably discuss this later about the versioning stream. Let me so what I'm going to do is just create a LTS branch, maybe play with it a bit, see what happens, and then I will report back in the next office hours, and also update that thread, the Slack thread that we have.
Cool.
At least we have some progress. Okay. What else? How do I move this? Moving the Slack thing. Okay. So we have AWS credits. So we applied to AWS open source credits. So there's a program that any open source project can apply to, and we applied and we got some credits. All the maintainers have like access to that account. I'm supposed to create admin like separate user accounts. That will be done very soon. And then we will start running tests on Amazon and GCP. So that will also kind of give a bit more, that will help us to ensure that the new version of Jenkins X that comes also works across the Amazon cloud, and not only GCP, that we're not breaking anything with Amazon when we come out with a new release. So that is going to happen very soon. And that leads to the next and the last topic that I had in mind from my side. I'm thinking to form a testing SIG, and I created an issue. So Vansh, who's actually in this meeting, he and I are planning to start the testing SIG. we will announce it in the Jenkins X channel, in like the user channel and the dev channel. We haven't decided like when we are going to start, but most likely next week or maybe the week like after that. The idea is to improve the testing infrastructure of Jenkins X. I think that we all know that when a new release comes, that there are some like bugs in it, and we really want to make it better. I mean, LTS is one way to like ensure that there are less bugs, but we can do even better. So these are the few like things that I had in mind. One was to like, we have code curve enabled in two like repositories at this point, that is JX and JX pipeline, and both of them have a test coverage less than like 40%. The other, so we need to at least like enable it so that we can like measure where we are with tests when it comes to other like repositories. I would like us to get closer to 80%. That's just the number that I have seen people talk about a lot. Normally engineering managers say that if you have 80%, it means that your tests will do something, like they will catch bugs. But in the end, I'm not trying to chase a number. If we get to like 60%, I'm fine with that. I don't care. But the whole point is, when we want to like refactor code, we can do it with like confidence. And also, when new contributors are like trying to contribute to Jenkins X, it's hard for us to like enforce them to write tests, because the testing platform just doesn't, or like the testing code or the testing like structure is not there. So it's very hard to like start it from scratch. But if the testing code like exists, and all they have to do is just add a new case, then that's much simpler for them. So that, I think, if we can like start improving and writing more unit tests, as like all of the maintainers and Vansh, who's probably going to lead the project, I hope. And so that will help us a lot. And then I'd like, as I talked about running tests across AWS and GCP. We used to do that in the past with Jenkins X v2, and also I think Jenkins X v3 for some time was running tests, and JX3 versions already has the files, and Martin actually like pointed that out in the TOC meeting. So we will use that as a starting point, just see how it works, like wire it up, so that our tests which are running in the GCP cluster can create new clusters in like Amazon, and just see how it works. I'm not concerned about Azure at this point. We will probably get some credits from them next month or so, but we'll see. But anyways, I think just trying to get AWS and GCP working is already going to help us quite a bit. And the last point is something I think we have talked about in the past. I just never got the time to do it. That is running compatibility tests across different Kubernetes versions using kind. That is something that I think Vansh and I will start looking at very soon. So I was like mentioning about the vault chart upgrade that I did. I went from from some version of vault chart to some other version, and it broke compatibility with Kubernetes 1.19. So when that happens, and if our tests fail, we can at least get a blog post or get a release note that tells people, hey, if you're going to upgrade this version of Kubernetes, this version of like Jenkins X, just remember to upgrade your Kubernetes version first, because this will break in your older like Kubernetes version. So that will help us a lot. But that is what I think the testing SIG will be doing in the future. It will make it make our tests better. Yeah, we have a lot of things to like improve. I also don't know if we should call it the testing SIG and maybe just call it like the maybe we can call it like the infra SIG. So everything that is happening in like the infrastructure is going to be managed by that SIG, and that includes keeping our cloud like costs down, ensuring that tests are running and are not like brittle. All of those things will be managed by that SIG. I will announce in Jenkins X dev the time and stuff. We will open a PR in the JX community repo, and yeah, we will see where it goes.
On which level those tests will be working? Because there are a lot of repositories in Jenkins X, and those tests must be running somewhere. And how would it will work with the automatic releasing of JX? I mean, when you merge something in, I don't know, JX GitOps or JX project or some repository, it is bumping the dependency in the JX and releasing a new, if I remember correctly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
So when you
those tests, is there a possibility that those tests could block from releasing a version that would be having some bug?
Well, so we do end-to-end tests of the entire platform in the version stream, JX3 version. So if something breaks here, then it's not released. Like 1.9.5 didn't work. We have to see what is happening. Sometimes the tests are like brittle, so we have to like retest it. Sometimes they actually catch a bug. The problem is it only runs in one version of Kubernetes and in one, like cloud provider. So if we can run it at like the same test across different, like Kubernetes versions and across multiple, like cloud providers, that will give us a better guarantee that, okay, a new version will not break it.
Okay.
So that's the idea.
Makes sense.
How easy it will be to implement it, that's a completely different topic. But if we start now, maybe we will get somewhere. And like also in general, right? Just improving, like the brittleness of these. Martin has like helped me out quite a bit with like getting the like so we use something called TF, like operator. And that actually runs all of the like Terraform stuff. Like Terraform plan and apply to create a new cluster where we are going to run the tests. So we did an upgrade, and that broke a lot of things. And I think Martin and I actually kind of like fixed it. But I still think some of these tests are a bit like brittle, and we can improve it more and maybe test more things. And also another thing to do is we only do the tests on a new cluster. What would be really nice if you have a cluster, and so you spin up a cluster from like the master branch, and then you apply the changes from your PR into that, and then it will and that's that is the real world case, right? Because nobody is always like creating a new cluster once a new Jenkins.
Yeah, exactly.
We do that actually, like our own internal like cluster gets updated every time a new JX3 like version comes out. but maybe we can, like tweak it a bit that we only make a release if the new, like version stream works on the existing JX infra, like cluster. So that gives us a bit more, like guarantee that it will not break anything in an, like existing cluster. So
there will be a lot of work. I see there are mostly red ones.
Well, some of them are old. This one, for example, I don't know how to fix it. We will see. I think Martin is working on kept live. I think like also this one is like old and we should probably just close it. These two things, I know 3.5.21 got merged already. So there may be like, yeah, so there's already conflict. So there you go. Close pull request. Good. We're closing pull request. And this one, I will check why it's breaking. And like I said, sometimes the tests are brittle. Sometimes there are multiple tests that run. Just like I said, like so the testing SIG will try and make it better, make it more, like reliable, so that we don't have to go in and manually run. So I think somebody, well, Martin probably did /retest. No, who did it? Okay, well, oh, okay. So this was a case, I guess, of two tests, like two. So what happens is sometimes it leads to, like duplicate jobs. So this PR will trigger two jobs sometimes. And then when the first one fails, it just says cross. And then when the second one, like passes, it does a tick. It just says, okay. So, and the first one most likely fails because of like duplicate resources. Like at least that's what used to happen in the past. So, I mean, like I said, there are some of these tests are bitter, and so they need to be taken care of. Okay. We can make it more stable. I mean, there's also the thing around end-to-end tests. There's always, like a trade-off, right? They like the, like the network can go bad. We can run out of limits on GCP.
End-to-end tests are always difficult to maintain because of all of those external dependencies.
Yes. Which is why we really want to focus on unit tests first. Like as a starting point, let's get to the point where our unit tests are running really well. Like if we can get to good...
I think that at least some basic end-to-end tests will be good to have for the beginning.
Yes.
So those tests could at least check if, I don't know, the version is deploying at all.
Yeah, that is what we will be trying to do as part of the infrastructure SIG or testing SIG. I just want to call it infra SIG because then we don't want to have a separate infrastructure SIG for this. So like we need a group of people who can actually help out or at least look after the infrastructure of Jenkins X. Like we are doing stuff in, like GCP, and then we will be doing stuff in like Amazon. So we need someone who's actually writing Terraform code for that. We have some of that already, but not for Amazon. So we will be, like building it out in the future. So I think that should come under the infra SIG, and maybe the infra SIG also looks at testing. I don't know if that's the thing with Kubernetes, because they have a testing SIG, but I don't know if the testing SIG also looks at the underlying infrastructure. Like I have seen them sometimes talk about like GCP accounts and maybe Prow being down, or just like maybe GCR like running out of limits or something, or the image sizes and stuff. So I think for us, we're not at that scale, of course. We can just call it infrastructure SIG and let that group do the heavy lifting around testing. So, we'll see. If that breaks into two groups, I'm fine with that. That means we have more maintainers. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Somebody else, 9 minutes. No. So yeah, it's nice knowing all of you. What else? Well, I mean, there was another thing that I was doing was upgrading Tecton pipelines to 0.32.4. And I noticed that the Kubernetes client-side libraries that we are using are not consistent. Some of them are 0.20 dot something, some of them are 0.21. So I am trying to get everything to 0.22 at least, because 21 is end of life already and 22 is becoming end of life soon. And also Tecton 0.32.x actually requires Kubernetes 22 client Go, like library. Yeah, that was it. Nothing else. If anybody else wants to say something else, I will give you back 8 minutes of your life.
I don't have any topic.
I will go over your article soon. So
I didn't want to ask about it. It's something side.
I'm just trying to, yeah. I mean, so I switched jobs in the last 2 months, and so new job is always like new thing and trying to figure out what's happening. So, anyways, but I will look at it. Excuses, only excuses. Okay, so think we can end. It was nice. I will work on the the LTS stuff and report back in the next like office hours. So, okay. Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out on the discussion and we can chat in there. But I think the infrasig sounds like a great idea and the right way to go. Like you say, if it splits into 2 groups later, then that's fine. But with it being a fairly small team on the project, kind of getting too specialized would split people. So I think it's the right choice. And definitely we'll try and find some time to be able to help you out with that, because I think it is a really important thing.
Yeah. Yes, that would be great. Okay. Thanks for joining and see ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.